It's Friday, which means it's time for a look at some of the new films coming out this weekend. And we're joined live by film critic Richard Crouse. Richard, great to see you. Thanks for coming on, as always.
Oh, thanks for having me.
All right, so let's start off with the Banshees of Inisherin.
Yeah, I loved this movie. I'll say that right off the top. A few years ago, Brendan Gleeson and Colin Farrell teamed up for a movie called In Bruges. In that film, they played hitmen who were on the run, and they were sort of hapless in the way that they behaved with one another. One thing was clear, though, they had amazing chemistry. Now they're back together in this new film, which is called The Banshees of Inisherin, and this is the story of two lifelong friends who just one day aren't friends anymore. Colin Farrell is the younger, more naive one of the two. He goes to pick up his friend, played by Brendan Gleeson, to go to the pub one day, and the guy literally says, "I just don't want to be your friend anymore. I've got just a few years left to live on this tiny little island that we live in, and I want to do it and leave behind a legacy and do interesting things, and you're just not that interesting." Colin Farrell's character doesn't quite understand how to take that and insists on trying to renew their friendship with kind of disastrous results. And this is a movie that starts off in a very light and kind of humorous way and gets darker and darker as the story goes on. But it's all about the performances from these two actors. They are tremendous together. Colin Farrell is particularly good in this, and it's worth the price of admission alone just for the inventive Irish swearing. So it's called The Banshees of Inisherin. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars, and it's in theaters right now.
All right, and an appearance on SNL recently as well probably helps
That's right.
get a little bit more publicity out there.
That's right.
All right, so let's move on to the second one we have here is Tar.
Yeah, this is one that is Oscar bound for sure, as I think the Banshees of Inisherin is as well. This is Cate Blanchett playing the conductor of a very high-level orchestra in Berlin. She is about to have two kind of monumental career steps. One is the release of a new album, the second a book about her life. When all of a sudden, out of her past, people and rumors start circulating. And this movie is about how she deals with them and ultimately what happens to her. And I don't want to give anything much away here, but it is a rise and fall kind of story. What I loved about this movie is the performance from Cate Blanchett. She's absolutely phenomenal in this movie as a person who wields her power like a weapon. What I didn't love about it was this sort of meandering first hour. It's almost 3 hours long, and the first hour there's a great deal of setup, and I just found myself wandering. My attention, despite how great the performances are, I found my attention wandering. So I still gave it 3.5 out of 5 stars because I think it's a really interesting movie, and she is particularly good in it. But I wish that first hour was a little tighter.
All right, and our third one, just a couple minutes, just a little bit of time left. The Good Nurse is out on Netflix.
Like all the other movies I've talked about today, great performances really help this story of a night nurse who may also be a serial killer along. Great stuff from Eddie Raymond, and Redmond and Jessica Chastain. It's a true story. People probably know how it ends. The story that you pay attention to here, though, is the journey. How do they get there? And I found these two characters compelling, and I also liked how it was about the characters and the police procedural and not so much about the violence and so much about the crime spree. I give it 3 out of 5 stars, and you can watch it tonight on Netflix.
All great options. Richard Crouse, thanks so much for your time.
Thanks for having me.